Hello, today we will be discussing the AVer professional tracking camera, the TR530. In today's episode we will discuss some of the best practices for how to set up the tracking and what the differences are between wide, stage, and segment modes, as well as some other settings needed for the tracking to be set up properly. So a quick overview of the camera. On the front of the camera we have a PTZ lens and a panoramic lens. The panoramic camera is used primarily for the tracking camera's algorithms and how to capture motion when it detects motion, and then the camera will track accordingly. The PTZ lens is also used for face detection and therefore also allowing the PTZ lens to track as well for more accurate wide area tracking. On the back of the camera we see an RJ45 for network connectivity, two SDI outputs, an HDMI output, a line in for a powered microphone or an audio mixer. There's also RS-232 and then DC 12 volts at 5 amps. The TR530 does not currently support PoE. So once the camera's been set up with proper IP address and subnet masking and you can see it on your network, you should be able to log in via a web browser using Chrome or Internet 11. Using Edge will not work. So when you first log in by typing in the camera's IP address, you will get an admin login. So you would type in your credential and this is your landing page. So a quick overview of tracking. So the TR530 has three tracking modes: wide area tracking for a training or well-lit environment, stage tracking where the camera may be positioned a bit further back than where you would ideally like it, and perhaps the stage or the environment is not as well lit as in wide area. And the third is segment tracking. This is where the content is more important than the person walking back and forth. You can segment anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 different areas. So when the presenter is moving from one area to the next, that motion is detected and the camera will automatically move to that preset with the preset of a pan, tilt, or zoom. So again, the TR530 does offer wide area, stage, and segment tracking. The TR320 only offers wide area tracking. So as mentioned, we have these separate wide, stage, and segment. And for wide area, you would actually go in to tracking setting, go to your select object viewing dimension. And this is where you're going to want to select what you're tracking as far as your head or face detection. You want to keep this at about 1.5 inches in the crosshairs. So wherever, let me see, about here, you want to keep this about 1.5 inches. So you pan, tilt, zoom to that area. Currently I'm at 6 feet from the lens, so I'm a bit snug as far as my environment, but since I am well lit, wide area will work. So once I have set it up, I would just select save and it will save that setting. Next, you would select your priority zone. Here it shows a brief tutorial. We can skip this and I will show you what this is saying for priority zone with this blue box. Anything that enters this blue box, I want to track with the camera. So once I'm satisfied with, maybe I want to make it a little bit smaller, anything that enters this box, I'm going to track. I will select save. Next, select shielded zone. Shielded zone, again, there's an automated tutorial that kind of walks you through this for the first time, but you have the ability to select up to 8 separate grids. again, I will skip this. Essentially what it is saying is there may be an object in the background that could cause motion interference. So for instance, right here could be a monitor with a looping video or some sort of slideshow that has motion. Or in this case over here I have a fan that's oscillating back and forth. So maybe I want to mask this out to avoid any confusion with the motion. Likewise, if I had drawn something and I said, well, I really don't need that, I can delete it as well. Once you're satisfied with your shielded areas, you would select Save. So at this moment, we can demonstrate tracking. So come back here for a better view. Here, sorry. Enable tracking. And it should be able to track as I walk back and forth. So again, wide areas for a good environment, well lit, you're a good distance from the presenter. The TR530 has 30 times optical zoom. We've done tests at 100 feet. Again, the important thing is the dimension of the head to be 1.5 inches once zoomed in. Notice as I walk towards the camera, there is no depth control. We do have a control for that, or a slider, or a setting. Come here, go to tracking, say depth tracking, come back here so you have a better view. So now I have depth setting has been enabled. So essentially what will happen is as I walk towards the camera, you will get tilt. Or if I should do a little more, if I were to actually bend down, it will track. But notice it doesn't zoom. There is also a setting for zoom. Come back here. Forgive my light, that's kind of in the way. There is an auto zoom. I can select auto zoom. And this will keep me framed. So it'll zoom out as I get closer and then zoom in as I walk away. It might be hard to see because of the fact I'm only 6-7 feet from the camera, but as I walk in, you might see some of the zooming and the tilting. And then it'll zoom out or zoom in or back to keep the framing. So I'll disable this, disable that. There's also a selection for multi-presenter. So if I enable multi-presenter, this again allows me to select an effective zone. And what this is saying is that any two people that step into this area or this orange box, I'm going to set this as a multi-presenter setup. I select save. Also notice these other delays for presets. So I'll disable this real quick. So the importance of preset number 1 and preset number 2. So should the tracking get lost for some reason, there is a time delay before returning to preset number 1. So preset number 1 will be a predetermined preset that you set up that may just capture the podium. And so if the tracking should get lost, you can adjust that as far as how quickly to return to preset number 1. So it could be 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever you may want. But notice when I enabled multi-presenter, there's also another selection should the tracking get lost, to return back to preset number 2. So preset number 2 could be something different. It could be a little bit wider, or it could be the same. So you could select a time delay for that as well. Here you have an adjustment for motion sensitivity. If you feel it's picking up too much motion or not enough, you have an adjustment here. So this concludes a brief overview of the TR530 wide area tracking. Thank you.